Yeah, I'm recording now. Thank you, whoever that was. Probably Prashant. Was that you, Prashant?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so Auguste Comte wanted social sciences which would be definitive and universal and also providing people with knowledge which was immutable and irrefutable, just as it was in the case of the natural sciences. Okay, or so he thought about the natural sciences. We'll get to that a little later. He identified history and philosophy as the two main obstructions in the yeah in the way of creating an, this is what is the crucial word, objective social sciences which would have the qualities of certainty, then what is that other word? Uh, Verifiability and probability and finally predictability. Can somebody tell me what is objective?
The main purpose, sir. Main purpose, sir.
Main purpose. Any other? Okay. I'm not saying no to that. Let's see if there are other pundits who will tell me something. She says main purpose. Objective.
Aim, sir. Aim, goal, which you want
Aim.
to achieve.
Okay. Aim, goal, main purpose. Any other?
Subjective means which changes according to person. Objective means it will be constant
Subjective changes from person to person,
person.
and
Whereas
objective is
result change.
it is constant.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Um, yeah. Why do you call MCQs, multiple choice questions? Why do you call them objective type?
They have only one answer.
Because they are not descriptive.
They are not descriptive.
Constant.
I think if there are 4 options, what I feel correct, I'll go for that option. But that answer can be something else for the other person. So it
Sir,
is
if
our
subject,
view of looking at.
Hmm?
sir, subjective means for it is correct answer A means for everyone it is A. Whereas coming, sorry, objective. Whereas coming to subject, everybody has their own ideology, no, sir. Objective means only one answer is correct for everyone. Like that, I think.
Okay. So let me put a question. Okay. Let me type it here. Okay, so which is the correct answer? This is an MCQ.
About him being the prime minister, sir.
Yeah, about Jawaharlal Nehru. Complete that sentence. Okay. Jawaharlal Nehru was, as the Prime Minister of India, you can complete it by saying ineffective. Jawaharlal Nehru was, as the Prime Minister of India, ineffective. Jawaharlal Nehru was, as the Prime Minister of India, lacking in decision making. Jawaharlal Nehru was, as the Prime Minister of India, unable to build institutions. Jawaharlal Nehru was, as the Prime Minister of India, a total failure.
So institutions unable to build institution means
Build institutions of governance. I should have put that. Unable to build institutions of governance.
These are all in the negative sense, sir. So,
yeah.
So they're all in the negative sense.
So it
so it
varies
gives
from person to person.
Sorry, what did you say, Akshay? Akshay, you said something about person to person. Akshay? So,
they can be, for me it can be any one option, for others it can be any other option. So
so is this an objective
objectivity
type?
changes from person to person.
Objectivity changes.
Objectivity changes.
No, sir, it cannot
No, sir, it
change.
cannot change.
Objectivity cannot
Objectivity
change.
cannot change.
Why am I
Why
hearing
am I
myself?
hearing myself?
Yeah. Not really. This is not even a valid question. Okay? This is a subjective question. It is a subjective question because I, as the constructor of this question, have shown my bias against Nehru by giving you 4 options, all of which are negative. Okay. Uh, hmm. So that shows my bias, right? So this is a very subjective question that I have asked you. And I've given you options without giving you a reason as to why you can choose any one of these as an option. Okay? Now, Which is the answer for this?
The first two are in positive sense, and the next two are in kind of negative sense. So the
Yeah. So
option A and B, option B is correct completely. But A depends if one views him as effective or not. Also C and D.
no.
B is correct because B is a fact.
D, sir. I hope D.
Sorry.
D is correct. The reason why India lost the war against China.
Is that so? Was he the reason?
Sir, whatsoever maybe it is B is correctness, sir.
The others
The
are.
objective
There is
only
only.
one of
There's
Sir,
only.
we are
There is only one irrefutable statement there.
That is B, sir, because it's a fact. The Prime Minister of India.
Huh. So we are talking about objectivity as something that does not involve the subjective self and its likes and dislikes. Maybe you don't want or you don't like that he became the first Prime Minister of India, but uh, there is no getting away from the fact that he was the first Prime Minister of India. That's the only one there which is a fact which cannot be argued about. You cannot argue about that. An effective Prime Minister, you can argue about it. How effective was he? Some people will say he was not very effective. Some people will say he was quite effective. Some people may say he was a good leader and that is why he won the election so many times and was the Prime Minister of India for 18 years. So he must have been a good leader, is what some people will say. And others may say that 18 years of his prime ministership have proved that he was a very bad leader. And you might want to add, if you say he's a bad leader, you might want to tag the fact that, not the fact, the option which says he is the reason why India lost the war against China. You might want to tag that. Now, that's not a universally accepted opinion. Even among the critics of Jawaharlal Nehru, there isn't any kind of, what should I say, any kind of, what is the word I'm looking for?
agreement.
No, not agreement, consensus. There isn't any kind of consensus that he was the sole reason why India lost the war against China. Even among his very, very staunch critics. Okay, so the others are all depending on subjective interpretations. Okay, They are subjective interpretations because each of the person who is answering this particular question, let's say this has been administered to 100 people. In that 100, all the 100 will have to agree with the statement that he was the first Prime Minister of India. But there may be different takers to these other ideas that are expressed about him, which are opinions. Opinions. You might not even know. For example, Akshay has said he's the reason why India lost the war against China, which to me is an indication that he doesn't know the full history of why India lost the war against China. Okay? That's why he doesn't mind putting that blame squarely on Nehru. All right. And that is the kind of the propaganda machinery that's at work today. And showing him as one of the worst leaders. But that's besides the point. Let's not get into that. So, what Auguste Comte is concerned about is A, C, and D. He sees a lot of A, C, and D in the attempt to construct social sciences or a science of society. And he sees very little of something which is like B, which is a statement of fact. Now, what is the definition of objective? The Okay, the definition of objective is this: you have researched thoroughly into something and you come up with an idea or principle that stands the test of being a fact, and it is something that can be proved as being irrefutable. It stands scrutiny. It provides proof. It is verifiable. It is certain, and therefore predictable and scientific. So, for we were talking about how Auguste Comte wanted history and philosophy to be out. Why are they, how are they standing as obstructions? With history, we saw multiple accounts of the same event with no definitive proof or verifiability of any of the accounts, with no definitive verifiability or proof of that account. Okay, so he would say that it is unscientific and it is something that adds uncertainty. And when there is uncertainty, you cannot build irrefutable, incontrovertible. That is actually the word that one should look for. Okay. So philosophy, because of it being based not just in suppositions, but in presuppositions, it cannot create a system of knowledge that's incontrovertible. Okay? Incontrovertible is something that cannot be disproved. Okay? It's not just proved, but it is also something that cannot be disproved. Right? So that is what he's talking about. Knowledge that is incontrovertible. So then you cannot disprove it. and therefore it is objective, because whether you like it or not has nothing to do with that knowledge. You might not like something, but the fact of the matter is that is incontrovertible, right? Now, let us go to the next level of understanding objective. Somewhere I'm sure Madam Padma is feeling, what about my answers about objectives as goals, objectives as, what else did you say apart from goals? Madam,
I said in a from a general meaning perspective, a goal or something which you want to achieve.
yeah. No, one has to explain that, by the way. Just because it is, you said it as a general thing, you have to be able to explain that. An objective is a goal. Why, when will you say your goal is an objective? When it is achievable.
Right.
If you say, my goal in life is to live on the Mars, then that is a statement of whimsy, or it's a whimsical statement, a statement that is based in fancy, flights of imagination. It is never going to happen. But if you have a goal, which is, I should, I will become a very accomplished scholar of political science and take up teaching as my profession and demonstrate to the world that the likes of Mr. Satish Chandra are not good teachers, they are just charlatans parading or passing off as teachers. Now, that is an objective because that can be achieved. That is incidentally, I don't know if it is yours, but this particular objective that I stated is an objective of my good friend Prashant. Prashant wants to become a great scholar and he wants to prove that I'm a half-baked scholar and I'm not the great teacher that I try to project myself to be. That is the objective that Mr. Prashant has. I'm sure Akshay also is considering how about giving up uh, the goal of IAS and taking this up. Now, even if you say my objective in life is to become an IAS officer, it is within the realm of the doable. it is within the realm of the doable, and therefore you can use the word objective there, right? But apart from these things, objective actually means another thing which we need to know. Okay. While being objective, one is focusing on the object which one wants to understand for what it is, and it is your understanding or attempt to understand is not based in any form of bias that you or me as a perception about something, right? Perceiving subjects may have biases that we perceiving subjects may have. So uh,
Sir, I didn't get this line.
I'll explain it.
Perceiving subject.
1 second. I'll explain that to you.
Yes.
Sir, shall we take the example as objective resolutions of Nehru?
1 second, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
Yes, Padma, you were saying something. What did you not understand?
This line, sir, last third, understanding for what it is and not based in a form of bias or receiving,
Okay.
sorry, perceiving.
So if, let us say, you want to understand, you want to understand why Hindus worship deities. Okay, there is a deity, a figure carved out of stone. If you want to understand why Hindus pray to these stone deities, then an objective understanding of that will depend upon your complete understanding of the Hindu culture, which deifies gods and has a multiplicity of gods. Why does it have that? Why does it deify and put it in the form of an idol? If you want to understand this, then you shouldn't have a bias that what is the point of praying to a stone idol? After all, it is just a stone idol, right? So, what is the point of praying to that stone idol? If you start with that question, then you're already biased. You believe that there is no point in praying to a stone idol. Okay, so you have to focus on the object, which is why do Hindus pray to a stone idol or a deity? You have to understand it for what it is. There is a reason why Hindus pray to a deified stone idol. You have to understand that for what that is and not with a bias against idolatry. So the Muslims calling the Hindus as kafirs at one time because of the fact that they were uh, they were surprised to find people praying to a stone idol, because Islam expressly forbids any pictorial depiction of both Allah, who's the God, and his Prophet Muhammad. Neither of these two should be depicted pictorially. They should not be depicted pictorially. That is there in the culture of Islam. So, if you are conditioned by that culture, then you're automatically biased against those who pray not just to a picture of something, but to an idol that has been carved out of stone. Why do you pray to that stone? Okay. then you're not going to understand the reason why the Hindu prays to an idol that is a stone. A Hindu, according to his system of beliefs, will pray to a deified stone because he believes that through the deification process and the process of anointing, anointing, anointing a stone idol as a deity, you are putting into it, a concentrated power which is positive and therefore of the divine variety. That is, I'm not making this reason up, by the way. And it serves as a point of reference to concentrate upon something and say your prayers in a concentrated manner. Otherwise, with nothing in front of you, you may not be able to say your prayer properly. That is the Hindu belief. So you have to understand that that is an objective belief. You are understanding the objective of why in Hindus pray to deities, which are idols carved out of stone. Even if you don't believe that there is any form of divinity in it, even if you believe that there cannot be any anointing that can bring positive power, which is almost divine, into it, and even if you don't believe that that is your source of concentration, even if you don't believe that, if you understand the Hindu belief system, then that is objective. Then that is objective because you're setting aside your, this is what is actually called in social science terminology, the suspension of your own beliefs while you're trying to understand somebody else's belief. Okay? The suspension of your own system of belief while you're trying to understand somebody else's system of belief. That is objective. If you don't suspend your own system of belief, then it is biased. Because you already have a preconceived notion. A preconceived notion that it is, you're not supposed to pray to idols. Those who do that are kafirs. So if you don't suspend that, then you are already carrying on with one kind of belief and judging the other on the basis of this belief, which is also a disbelief. Okay, so you're concentrating only on the belief or the system of belief of the other and suspending your own system of beliefs while you are trying to understand, not forever, while you are trying to understand why that person is doing something the way he is doing it is objective. That is the object that you're trying to understand. Okay, have I made sense now to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, got it. So, sir, but if after the course of understanding the object, can my result be the same of what it is existing?
It can be.
Okay.
It can be. First, understand it objectively. Then, if you still think that there is an internal contradiction or a contradiction in that, which is a purported system of belief, if there is a problem, you see a problem in that, then you can still say objectively, without your prejudice, without your own belief coming in, you can say that this is not a very good thing to do. You can say that. Being
Right.
objective is not being uncritical. Please remember that.
Correct.
Yeah, you can be critical, but you have to be critical for the right reasons. That is the idea of objective. Okay, so that is why if you read the next thing that I put, in the process of understanding, there is an object. There are two things. There is an object that needs to be understood, and there is a subject that is trying to understand it. Okay, these are the two things that are there in the process of understanding. An object that needs to be understood and a subject that is trying to understand it. Now, the abnegation of the subjective self, it is not the negation of the self. Please remember that. You're not negating yourself. You're negating your subjective self. And what is the subjective self? The subjective self is that which is already loaded with all kinds of understandings and meanings about something that it is going to investigate. Okay, if you if you want to go and understand why is it that a tribal person holds something like a tree in reverence, then while you're trying to understand that, you have to suspend your own system of beliefs that trees are trees. How can they be sacred? Okay, you have to suspend that. That process of suspension is the abnegation, or if you like, just negation of the self or the subjective self in the time that you're trying to understand, the tribal custom, or while you are in the process of understanding the tribal question, or rather the tribal uh, system of beliefs, at that time you have to negate your own subjective self. The subjective self is that which already has some conceptions about the tribal people. Or even if you don't have any conceptions, preconceptions about the tribal people, you could develop conceptions about the tribal person by basing your observation of the customs of the tribal people, by invoking your own rational system or your own system of rationality. That is what I'm trying to prove with that sentence, the last sentence. Okay, so just give me 10 minutes, please, because, or 5 minutes. I'll try and finish this as quickly as I can, so that we reach a point where
Sir, I have a point to make, and
please.
tell me if it's correct or not. So, why Auguste Comte considers history as a hurdle is because being objective is so difficult, and history, since nature of history is as such that it is, um, if not impossible, it is hard or difficult to be objective, and that's why the social sciences,
Didn't
to
happen.
be scientific, the social sciences, history is a
Hurdle.
kind of hurdle,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So now let me come to this. Comte has an idea of what constitutes facts. Okay. Facts are primarily rational rational, no, sorry. Okay. Comte has an idea of what constitute facts. What are facts? Facts are rationally established ideas that cannot be challenged. Okay? Rationally, if you say Nehru wasn't the first Prime Minister of India, then you're being totally irrational. Completely irrational. Right? So a fact is something that is rationally established. And what is rationality? Rationality is not based in a system of values, but in a system of irrefutable and established ideas. Let's try to understand this now. Okay, it is not based in a system of values. So let's try to understand what are values. Values are those which are subjectively understood as per the likes and dislikes of the perceiving subject. Okay, so if you say, for example, I value secularism. I value secularism and I value the Indian idea of secularism more than the Western idea of secularism. Because the Western idea of secularism, I'm just making an argument here. I'm not stating my system of beliefs. Okay, it's just an argument. Because I value the Indian system of idea of secularism because the Western idea is based in the idea, the Western idea is based in intolerance of religion. You think that religion brings out intolerance in you. And therefore, what do? You remove it from the public realm. You remove religion from the public realm and you claim that I am secular. While I am in public, I can follow my religious beliefs in my house. Is that possible? Can a person have a set of beliefs that he follows in his house and does not have that system of beliefs that you have in the context of the public realm? Can you have them? That is the question that you need to raise. Okay, so if you know the Americans have this thing called being politically correct. What is being politically correct? Being politically correct is saying the right kind of thing in public, whether you believe in it or not. You might not believe that blacks are your equals. Most white Americans, who are today called the white supremacists, and these are the people who are the support base of the likes of George W. Bush and Donald Trump. These people, okay, these people will in public say that they believe in the equality of the blacks and whites. They believe in the equality of all kinds of people. They call them ethnicities there. I think I once narrated this to you. On one of my trips, one professor there, he was so impressed with me and my scholarship and my knowledge of America that he asked me to come over to his place for dinner. And when I told this to my friends, they said, "Really? Was this man a white?" I said, "Yes, he was a white." Then he said, "Wow, you were actually invited to dinner by a white professor? Amazing." Because Indians who live in America, whatever may be the postures they adopt here, they are second-rate citizens. In offices, the whites will tolerate you. They'll tolerate you, but you will not be invited to parties or dinners that they have in their houses. If you throw a party and invite them, they won't come. They'll make some excuse. They won't come. So, in public, they say the politically correct things, which is that no, we believe that everybody is equal, all are the same, but they believe that they are better. They are better than the others, including Indians, let alone the blacks, let alone the blacks. So, publicly stated beliefs are not necessarily your real beliefs. So, that kind of secularism for me is not secularism. If I say I believe in secularism and my secularism is toleration of all different kinds of cultures, religions, because secular, what does it mean? It means all encompassing. Okay, I believe in humanity. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, suppose if Africans' color skin tone is white, is still there any racial difference?
Africans who are native Africans will not have a white color. If you go to South Africa, for example, you'll find the whole cricket team, with the exception of one person or something, it'll be full of whites. The Zimbabwean cricket team is full of whites. So these are white settlers. Those people don't identify with the blacks because they're not natives there. The native African will not be white and he will not be accepted as the equal. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. If he is a white-skinned person from Africa, he is there either on a job assignment or some other assignment, or he was a part of colonialism and his family went and settled there. He's not an African. He'll be either a Dutchman or an Englishman or a Frenchman. So they'll identify with the whites there, not with a native of Africa or the progeny of a native of Africa. They will not be accepted as equals. Why by the whites? Indians don't accept them as their equals. Indians believe that these blacks represent the filth and squalor that they have left behind in India when they have gone to the USA. So they don't mix with the blacks. And that's why Indians live in their own ghettos. America says that it's a melting pot of cultures. Nonsense. When we do multiculturalism, I will tell you how there are Irish towns, how there are German towns, how there are Indian ghettos, Chinatowns. Go to a place like Fremont. No white American will live there because it's so full of Indians. It's almost like an India in America. Fremont in California. So no, they won't accept. Okay, so the values of secularism are not publicly stated. By saying that I don't recognize the religion, you're avoiding talking about something which is uncomfortable for you. But in India, when we say, not only do we recognize other religions, other cultures, but we give them equal importance as we do to the dominant culture, then we are making a truly secular statement, because we are saying that we don't care what is your religion, your color, your creed. We will accept you for who you are. That is our definition of culture. Of secularism. So that is a truer form of secularism. Though with the right-wingers now, that it's called pseudo-secularism, and I still cannot understand this term pseudo-secularism. Are you trying to say that the secularism that is practiced in India is not secularism, it is a pseudo form of it? Or are you saying that secularism itself is pseudo? I still don't get it. I still don't get it. Okay, but here are values. Values are coming in. Even in our secularism, we are also trying to be politically right. But when it comes to it, Muslims have, brought down our temples. Christians have converted so many people to Christianity. These are proselytizing religions. So we have our subjects and biases. But we have learned to be politically correct. We have learned to tolerate difference in the public sphere. But our utterances among our own circle, closed circle of friends and relatives are the real system of beliefs. So, I'm going to end it here today. For Auguste Comte, why? What am I doing that this is happening? Jesus Christ. Now, the thing here is for the positivists, values are the opposite of facts. They are uncertain and not based in rational thinking. They are not based in rational thinking, whereas facts are those which are totally rationally constructed. Okay, so philosophy is based in values. Which are again uncertain, so they have to be got rid of. Okay, the positivists and Comte see rationality as growing in a linear fashion, and therefore The modern times are those which are rational, while non-modern times and their beliefs are not rational. I'm sorry, you can't see that. I want to pick up these 2 points tomorrow. Fact value dichotomy. Remember this. We'll talk about the fact value dichotomy and the linearity of rationality, which facilitates progress. The linearity of rationality, which facilitates progress. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, and we'll bring the alternative to it. Most people have left. Huh? I think even Akshay went away today. Yeah. So fact value dichotomy and linearity of rationality, and how with every passing day human beings have become more and more rational, and that is to be seen in scientific discoveries and inventions. That will be the theme that I'll start with tomorrow. Thank you. So see you tomorrow, hopefully.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.